I was the naughtiest puppy, and when Mom got terribly sick, I just walked away. She cried in anger, calling me a heartless, ungrateful little mutt. All I could do was lower my head, silently tuck her in, and slip away. It wasn't until after I died that Mom finally found the secret video diary I had meticulously filled on her phone. Turns out, something out there really does listen to a puppy's prayers. Today is another day of pretending to be a caregiver. The very last video had only a title. If there is a next life, more than anything, I want to be Mom's daughter. When Mom collapsed in the yard, I was the one who ran to the neighbor's house, biting her pant leg and dragging her toward our lawn. Luckily, she was discovered in time, and a white ambulance with flashing blue lights pulled into our driveway. A group of people jumped out and loaded her into the vehicle. I tried to follow her inside, but someone shooed me away. Where did this stray come from? That's Margaret's dog, Biscuit. Don't let the dog on the truck. Can't you see we have our hands full? I watched helplessly as they drove out of the yard, the swirling dust and gravel stinging my eyes. For the entire afternoon, the yard was completely empty. No one cared if I needed to use the bathroom, and no one checked if I was thirsty. I romped around the yard wildly. I dug up the little vegetable seedlings Mom had planted, unearthed an earthworm, and played with it for half the day. It wasn't until the sky turned a pale orange with the setting sun that I realized Mom still hadn't come home. The smell of dinner drifted over from the neighboring houses. I sat blankly at the gate for a long time. I remembered playing at the dog park recently, where a little dog told me, "You know, for little mutts like us, if we don't behave, our owners will just throw us away." He was a very good boy, and I heard he was never a picky eater and never peed on the floor. But he was still thrown away. His owner bought a much more expensive white puppy, thought he was too ugly and ate too much, and dropped him off at a pet store, never to return. But the pet store is nice too, he had told me. There are a lot of dogs there. It's really lively. But I still wanted to be with Mom. I ran over to the dirt, kicked some dirt over the mess I had made earlier, and covered it with a leaf. Then I drank every last drop of the water I had left in my bowl from the morning. But Mom still didn't come back. Maybe she just went out to have fun, I told myself. The sun was really warm today. She'll come back when she gets tired of playing. The night grew cold, and usually, right around this time, Mom would set up a thick, warm bed for me. I could only curl up into a tight ball to stay warm, and dazed, I didn't know how much time had passed until I finally heard the sound of a car. Two strangers stood outside the yard. "Dad, you guys have been separated for years. Why are you still looking after her?" "We're not divorced yet. My name is still on her savings account." I hid behind the door, peeking at the two of them. "I just started college, and grad school applications are coming up fast. I don't have time to take care of her," the teenager said. "Besides, her disease is incurable. Dad, you might as well save that money to buy me a house and get me a wife later." "Then what are we supposed to do? We can't just throw her away." Throw her away? They couldn't send Mom to a pet store. I rushed out, barking and whining anxiously. I wanted to tell them I wasn't afraid of hard work. I could take care of her. Where did this stray come from? The teenager kicked me. "Get out of here." Instantly, my stomach burned with a fiery pain, feeling like my bones had shattered. I stumbled to my feet with a limp, and seeing this, the man casually picked me up. "Isn't this the little mutt your mom raised?" He looked me up and down. Not bad looking. Pretty meaty. The teenager shot me a disdainful glare and said casually, "Then sell the dog tomorrow. My mom doesn't have time to take care of it anyway. I hear purebreds go for a lot right now. Take it to the pet store and ask." The man set me back on the ground and patted me gently. "Good dog. Just sleep out here in the yard tonight. I'll take you out to play tomorrow." The teenager frowned. "You don't think the dog will run away?" "Run away?" The man laughed. "This dog is a coward. Your mom raised it for years. Even animals have feelings." After they went inside, I stood outside the door, watching the warm light spill through the window. The two were still discussing things in low voices. "Her illness is going to slowly make her forget everything. You need to ask for her bank card PIN first, just in case she forgets later. She doesn't look that bad right now. We don't need to hire a professional caregiver." "But what if my mom collapses in the house? Then it's an accident. It has nothing to do with us." In the empty yard, My little food dish still sat in the corner. Mom had collapsed right as she was pouring my dog food. I was too busy playing all afternoon to notice. But now my stomach was rumbling. I slowly crawled over to the edge of the dish and took small bites. Something wet dripped into the food. It tasted salty and bitter. But don't worry, Mom. I still finished every last bite. That night, I secretly left home. When I was just a tiny puppy, Mom found me and took me in. I didn't have to worry about getting hit by cars, or thunderstorms, or rain. I didn't have to fight other stray cats for food in the dumpsters anymore. Mom would stroke my back as she fed me. "Biscuit, this is your home from now on," she had said. "You can't go sneaking outside, okay?" Of course not, I had thought. I wasn't stupid. There was delicious food and a warm bed here. Why would I ever want to freeze out there? But now Mom was sick. I was about to lose my home. I was going to be a stray again. It was right around the time people took their post-dinner walks, and the lawn at the dog park was packed with dogs. "Hello, Biscuit. Why are you all by yourself today?" Sammy had asked, looking around. "Where's your owner?" I gathered my courage and asked them. "Do any of you know how to take care of humans?" "First, you have to become a human, of course," a golden retriever said kindly. "We can't do it. We're just dogs. Dogs can't cook. And they definitely can't help humans take a bath." The nearby poodle and Pomeranian chimed in, chattering all at once. I pressed on. "Then can I become a human?" "That's hilarious. She actually wants to be a human." A passing beagle scoffed. "What's so great about being human? Can they poop anywhere they want like a beagle?" I lowered my head. "But when humans get sick, humans can take care of them. My mom is sick, and her family doesn't want her anymore." The beagle fell silent, and so did everyone else. After a long pause, they gathered around me, whispering. The German Shepherd next door told me that if you stand on your hind legs under the full moon and make a wish, something out there really does listen to your heart's desire. Maybe it could turn you into a human so you can take care of your mom? A Bichon Frise spoke up softly. "But Biscuit, you have to think this through. If you become human, you can never change back into a dog. And there's something even scarier," the beagle warned, trying to frighten me. "I heard that once you become human, you only have 3 months to live." That didn't matter, I thought. We dogs have short lives anyway. My mind made up, I said my goodbyes. It was perfect timing. Tomorrow night was the full moon. "Biscuit." A Doberman called out to me. "If you become human, you can't just cry whenever you want." I secretly wiped my eyes with my paw. "I know." They called out after me as I left. "If you need help, make sure you come find us at the dog park before 8 at night. Any later, and my mom will make me go to bed." The German Shepherd was right. When I wished upon the full moon, something really was listening. I traded my lifespan for it, gaining a human body and a human heart, and just 100 short days to take care of Mom. It told me this was our secret. While I was alive, I couldn't tell any human. I linked my tail with it, sealing the promise. The deal was struck. 3 days later, I stood at the front door of my house once again. The difference was, I now wore the face of a human girl. Taming these 4 limbs was incredibly difficult. I stumbled and fell several times before I finally made it to the yard. The yard was eerily quiet. Mom's son had said her illness was severe and that she would slowly forget how to eat and use the bathroom. This time she broke her bones. The thought of having to serve her meals and clean up her crap from now on makes my head pound. But I wasn't afraid. When I was just a tiny puppy, that was exactly how Mom fed me. The spare house key was hidden under the second flower pot. I gently unlocked the front door. The windows and doors were all shut tight, and Mom was still asleep in her room. I rummaged through the kitchen cabinets. I poured a handful of dry noodles onto a plate and, mimicking how Mom used to do it, set a few raw broccoli florets next to it. No, that didn't seem right. Human food wasn't like this. By the time the sun was directly overhead, I had no choice but to seek help from the dogs at the park. "Human food has to be cooked with fire," a border collie explained very seriously. "You also have to add a bunch of seasonings. There's a whole science to it." I was dumbfounded, but I don't know how. If even the smart border collie didn't know, how could a little mutt like me figure it out? They looked at each other in dismay. "Then we'll just have to let the smart border collie come up with a plan." I had to head home first. Mom was already awake. She stood at the doorway, furrowing her brow as she studied me for a long time, and hesitantly asked, "Who are you?" I stood there awkwardly, my face flushed bright red. Her eyes drifted down to the spatula in my hand, and she suddenly laughed in realization. "Oh, I know. You must be the caregiver they hired to look after me, right?" I nodded quickly. "Why, yes. That's right." She asked gently, "Have you seen our Biscuit? She's a little dog, very well behaved." Before I could say a word, a neighbor walking by sighed, "Margaret, I haven't seen your Biscuit in days. After you were taken to the hospital that day, she ran off and never came back." Mom froze, turned around, and slowly walked back into her room. I followed her, at a total loss for what to do, and heard her muttering curses under her breath. "Heartless little thing, they're all heartless." "No, I'm not. Dogs aren't like that at all." My ears drooped, and I desperately wanted to explain. But I couldn't force a single word out of my mouth. I helped her into bed to rest, only to find her secretly crying with her back turned to me. Biscuit is still so little. What if she sneaked out and got hit by a car? What if the big dogs outside bully her? "You little ingrate. Mom raised you for so long, and you just abandon Mom like that." I remembered the Doberman telling me not to cry so easily, so I stealthily wiped my tears on the back of my hand. I tucked her in properly and bolted from the room. Dogs never learned how to act. If I had stayed a second longer, my tears would have fallen again. Mom's son had said she would slowly forget everything. Did that mean she would forget her puppy, too? Since I couldn't tell anyone I was Biscuit while I was alive. Did that mean I could tell her after I died? That way, Mom would never forget me. I spun around in circles in the kitchen, overjoyed. I truly was a smart dog. "Hi, Mom." I held up the phone, waving at the camera lens. "You always used to say you wanted to take videos of me. This time, I'll record them myself." At the kitchen window, a large tabby cat was sitting on the sill holding a small box, staring at me. Clearly, he had been waiting for a while. It turned out the beagle had stolen a box of instant self-heating meals from his house. He tossed it from upstairs to a golden retriever walking below, who then passed it to a stray mutt. The stray mutt couldn't get into our apartment complex, so he handed it off to the neighborhood cat king who was sunbathing in the yard. The border collie had said this was the simplest human food. Just add hot water, and it would be ready in no time. I fiddled with it for ages until a delicious smell finally wafted from the box. I proudly showed it off to the camera. "Look, Mom, I know how to cook now." Like presenting a prized treasure, I carried the box into the bedroom. To my surprise, Mom burst out laughing. "There are vegetables and meat we bought earlier in the fridge. Did you not know where to find them?" I could only play dumb and smile foolishly. "I found them perfectly fine. I just had no idea how to cook them." She took the spoon from me and asked kindly, "Have you eaten yet?" My face flushed red again, and I nodded shyly. I had been so hungry today that I had already eaten half the bag of dog food sitting next to the sofa. "You don't need to worry about me." Mom comforted me softly. "I promise I'll work hard to recover, so I don't cause you any trouble." Only then did I let out a sigh of relief, nodding emphatically. But I forgot that humans love to lie. I had been tricked by Mom once again. When I was just a tiny puppy, Mom loved to trick me. She would add a little meat broth to my water bowl to make me think it was a special treat. I would drink so much water trying to get to the broth that I couldn't hold it, and ended up peeing in the house. Later, when I was sick, I refused to take my medicine. She hid the pill inside a scoop of peanut butter. I ate it with absolute delight, only to look up and catch her snickering. Bullying a puppy was far too easy. Just like how she lied to me this time, saying she would get better. A week later, I came back to the room after hanging the laundry out to dry. Mom tilted her head, furrowed her brow, and asked, "Who are you?" I thought she just hadn't woken up fully, so I said helpfully, "It's me. I'm the one who's been taking care of you these past few days." She nodded, realization dawning on her. Oh, right. The hired caregiver. But the next time I walked out of the kitchen, she looked confused again. "Who are you?" Mom had forgotten me. She suspiciously moved my dog food into the closet. "You can't just take this. This is our Biscuit's food." The closet was right next to her. She would notice anyone who got close. My stomach growled, and I tried to sneak a bite, but she kicked me out of the bedroom. I went hungry for half the day. In the end, the golden retriever shared some of his dinner with me. During the day, I crouched outside the neighbor's kitchen window trying to learn how to cook, and at night, I pushed Mom out for a walk in her wheelchair. Mom would point to the pack of dogs and introduce them to me. You see that patch of grass? Biscuit loves playing hide and seek in there. That one time it rained, she hid in a garbage can to stay dry. She was only 3 months old then. I felt so bad for her, I took her home. It doesn't matter if my son and my husband don't want me. Biscuit and I have each other. I heard these words every single day. I thought that as long as Mom kept talking, she would slowly remember everything from the past. But her illness only seemed to worsen. She wouldn't eat unless prompted, and eventually, she couldn't even walk. All she could do was lean against the window and stare blankly out at the yard. I thought Mom must be so bored sitting in the house all day. I wanted to go pick some pretty flowers for her. Mom loved flowers most of all. That evening, when I rushed back to the yard out of breath, my arms full of wildflowers, the house was completely empty. Mom was gone. I froze, stumbling wildly through the house, checking every single room. Mom's wheelchair and her clothes had vanished. The closet had been thoroughly rummaged through. Only my bag of dog food lay quietly inside. I hugged the bag of dog food and ran out of the yard in a panic. I bumped right into our neighbor, who was taking out the trash. She smiled at me. Margaret was just picked up by her son. Did they pay you for these last few days? Seeing my stunned silence, she continued. Did you not know? She got sent out to the countryside by her son. They're getting ready to sell this house. Devastated, I walked back into the house. Seeing 2 dirty bowls left in the kitchen, I silently washed them. Mom had once told me that if I ever got lost, I should stay exactly where I was, and she would come find me. For days on end, I copied what Mom used to do. Washing clothes, hanging out the blankets, and watering the little vegetable patch. It wasn't until I saw the neighbors hanging wreaths on their doors and putting up holiday lights on their porches that I realized the new year was approaching. Mom always said the new year was a time for families to reunite. I counted on my fingers, wondering if I could even survive until New Year's Eve. But I never learned math, so I had to go to the dog park to ask the smart border collie for help. Instead, I found the owners of the golden retriever and the other dogs standing in a circle, staring at a phone and whispering intensely. Isn't this the lady who used to walk her dog around here? I remember her. She had a little mutt. That dog loved playing with our Toto. This is too awful. How could anyone abuse her like this? Curious, I poked my head into the circle. On the screen, a middle-aged woman with a bruised eye and half her face covered in blood scabs was desperately clinging to a doorframe, crying and begging to go home. I snatched the phone immediately. The woman on the screen was screaming, "They're bad people. I want to go home." In the final frame of the video, a man roughly dragged her back into the room. I recognized her instantly. It was my mom. I ran around showing the phone to everyone. Do you know where this is? Excuse me, do you know where this place is? The golden retriever and the others couldn't speak, spinning in anxious circles. Finally, a kind woman gave me the address. I didn't know the way, but a dog has a lot of friends. Biscuit, that place is really far, the golden retriever said. My mom drove me there once. It takes a really long time to walk. The dogs gathered in a circle, their ears drooping. None of them had ever traveled far from home. It was simply too hard for a dog. I looked down at my own limbs. I had finally learned how to control them. The smart border collie said I had 20 days left to live. As long as I brought Mom back, we could celebrate the new year together. Suddenly, the Doberman spoke up from the side. Biscuit, I'll go with you. I paused. Will your mom let you go that far? He looked off into the distance and said quietly, I don't have a mom anymore. Only then did I remember. While hanging laundry a few days ago, I had seen a small memorial table set up outside a house across the street, bearing fresh flowers and a framed photograph. The neighbor had said Mrs. Weber passed away, 93 years old, went peacefully. She lived a good life. The neighbor had said. That had been the Doberman's mom. The next day, everyone waited for me at the dog park. The Samoyed brought freeze-dried treats, and the golden retriever brought canned food. The beagle carried a silver folding pocket knife in his mouth and handed it to me. Dogs aren't scared. Bad humans bully dogs. Dogs get revenge. I packed away the gifts from my friends and said my goodbyes. The winter wind was biting cold, stinging my face with sharp pain. I had no idea how far the Doberman and I walked. It wasn't until I saw his paws bleeding that I realized my own hands and feet were swollen and red from the frost. Biscuit, there are people guarding the gate. We can't get in. Next to the iron gate locking Mom inside, several men stood smoking. A passing stray yellow dog told us that many elderly people were locked up in there, beaten and verbally abused every single day. In the pitch-black evening, the wind howled and whimpered. "That's not the wind," the stray yellow dog said. "That's the sound of the old people crying inside. Are you trying to get in?" A pack of stray dogs surrounded us. The leader was a solid black Rottweiler. One of his eyes was clouded over with a white film. Us little dogs had a natural, instinctual fear of fierce, violent breeds like this. A single snap of his jaws could tear our throats out. I stepped back in fear, but the Doberman stepped in front of me, shielding me. "Yes," the Doberman said calmly. "We need to save our mom. Can you help us?" The other strays burst into harsh laughter. "You're both dogs. How could you have a human mom?" "We're not helping you. Humans are the absolute worst." They pushed the Rottweiler forward. His eye was beaten blind by a human. "Humans lure us with food and lock us in cages. Good thing the boss broke us out." I knew that stray puppies often went missing from the streets. None of us ever said it out loud, but we all knew what eventually happened to them. Puppies don't know what a bad person is. As long as you pat their heads and give them food, they think you're a good person. "I'm sorry." I whispered my apology. "I didn't know." Yet, the Rottweiler stepped right up to us. "I'll help you." The Rottweiler explained that whenever a car drove in, the iron gate would open. "When that happens, we'll draw them away and you guys slip inside." He had done something wrong once. In a manic state, he had bitten his owner's son. His owner had cried as she beat him and drove him away, but he never resented her. "I don't hate them," he said. "I just want to atone." We watched as a black sedan slowly approached the gates, and two people stepped out. The heavy iron gates began to groan open. I recognized them instantly. It was Mom's son and her husband. The Rottweiler charged forward, leading the pack of massive strays. They lunged and snapped furiously at the men, sending them fleeing in absolute terror. With his powerful build, the Rottweiler tackled the man to the ground, biting down mercilessly. "Where did these mad dogs come from? Get off me. Stop biting. Help." Taking advantage of the chaos, I slipped through the iron gates. The two-story compound was packed with frail, trembling elderly people. I sniffed everywhere for Mom's scent. Finally, at the end of a long hallway, I found her coat. I shoved the door open and saw a middle-aged woman violently shoving Mom with a laundry pole. "I told you to eat. Why aren't you eating? Now I have to clean up all this garbage. Are you trying to piss me off to death?" Mom was cowering in the corner, too terrified to lift her head. I lunged forward, throwing my arms around Mom, and took the brutal strike from the pole against my own back. Seizing the moment the woman was stunned, I shoved her hard. "You little brat, you dare hit me." She crashed into the wardrobe. Furious, she grabbed me by the hair, dragging me backward, and clamped her hands tightly around my neck. "Where the hell did you sneak in from?" Mom looked at me, and for the first time, her blank expression shifted. "Ah, you are." My eyes were wet. I ducked my head and sank my teeth viciously into the woman's wrist. "You lunatic." She shrieked in pain, pounding her fists relentlessly against my head. But I clamped my jaws shut and refused to let go. I held on until my white teeth were stained red. "Let go. Let go." I watched the color drain from her lips as her strength faded. Only then did I release her. I hoisted Mom onto my back and stumbled out of the room. The wind sliced against my face like a razor blade. I tasted salt on the corner of my mouth. For a moment, I couldn't tell if it was the woman's blood or my own blood trailing down from my forehead. "Hurts." Mom trembled, stroking my head as she leaned against my back. I smiled foolishly and shook my head. "It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt at all." After becoming a human, I had learned how to lie, too. "Mom." My head and my neck actually hurt so badly. They hurt so much I felt like crying. But a dog isn't afraid. A dog will always protect you. By the time I carried Mom out the door, people were already chasing us. Stop right there. I saw more people blocking the iron gate ahead. I secretly tightened my grip on the silver pocket knife my friends had given me. But just then, several people burst through the gates from the outside, tackling the guards to the dirt. Nobody move. Get on the ground. Police. Limping, I supported Mom and helped her into an ambulance waiting nearby. We walked past a reporter who was live streaming outside the gates. We have learned that this unlicensed care facility, illegally converted from a private residence, has been systematically abusing the elderly. The viral video circulated online yesterday was filmed exactly here. Authorities have confirmed that at least 10 elderly residents have suffered various degrees of minor injuries, and an active investigation is underway. The crowd of onlookers whispered amongst themselves, "These people are purely evil. Every single person sent here is sick and vulnerable." The children definitely knew about this. They just threw their own parents right into the fire. I heard it was a border collie that saw the video and dragged its owner to the police station. Come on. That's definitely just some internet rumor. No, it wasn't. I knew the smart border collie was the one who had helped. Down at the intersection, another loud commotion drew a crowd. Doctors and nurses were sprinting back and forth in a frenzy. I tried to squeeze my way through, but a police officer held me back. "Don't go looking over there. Somebody died." They said the two men, fleeing blindly from a pack of rabid dogs, ran straight onto the adjacent highway and were struck by a heavy transport truck. I froze. Shoving my way past the crowd, I saw Mom's son and husband lying in a pool of blood. They had long stopped breathing. A short distance away, a dark shadow lay half buried in the tall grass. As I got closer, I saw it was the Rottweiler. Half of his face was a mangled mess of flesh and blood. It was obvious he had been beaten to death with clubs and shovels. Only his eye remained weakly, partially open. "Biscuit," the Doberman said. "The Rottweiler is dead. When a dog dies, we cannot close our own eyes." I opened my mouth, but not a single word came out. It turned out human language had its limits, too. Everyone's attention was glued to the car crash and the nursing home scandal. No one cared that a mad dog had also died on this winter day. I crouched silently beside the Rottweiler and reached out, gently closing his eye. The strays and the Doberman used their paws to dig a shallow hole. I gathered the Rottweiler in my arms and lowered him into it. The loose dirt drifted down like silent rain, burying his body. What was the Rottweiler thinking about when he died? As the relentless blows of the clubs and shovels rained down on his body, did he think of his former owner? I didn't know what death felt like. All I knew was that in a dozen days, I would embark on the exact same journey as the Rottweiler. Doberman, is dying a very scary thing? The Doberman looked at the few blades of grass sprouting from the Rottweiler's small grave and said calmly, "No. To me, it is a happy thing." That night, I took out the phone and waved at the camera again. "Mom, you don't have to worry about anyone bullying you ever again." I spoke with utmost seriousness. Also, I left little notes around the house that the neighbor helped me write. Have you seen them? You have to follow exactly what the notes say so I can stop worrying about you, okay? Dogs don't know how to write. I had to ask the neighbor for help. When I was little, Mom taught me how to eat and where the bathroom was. Now, it was my turn to teach Mom. You always used to yell at me for peeing on the floor. Dogs have silly little brains, so sometimes we just forget things. But dogs are never heartless or ungrateful. I looked at the lens, smiling a goofy smile until my eyes turned completely red. So please don't yell at me anymore. Mom, your puppy never, ever wanted to leave you. By the time she watched this video, I would likely be long gone from her side. But Mom, birth, aging, sickness, and death are just the natural order of things. Thank you for letting me be your daughter for 2 short years. The day after we returned to the yard, a woman arrived at the house, escorted by several neighbors. "Margaret, do you recognize her?" the neighbor asked patiently. "This is your cousin." Mom furrowed her brow, seemingly thinking very hard for a long time, before finally nodding and saying hesitantly, "Carol?" The woman breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "Thank goodness. I was so scared you wouldn't remember me." The neighbor chimed in quickly. "Margaret, your husband is gone, and your son is gone too. Social services said your cousin wants to become your legal guardian and take care of you." I pretended to busy myself sweeping the floor, but my ears were perked up, terrified of missing a single vital detail. But Carol was incredibly gentle. She anxiously held Mom's hands, checking her up and down. Marg, how could you not tell me something this huge was happening? My son just got settled, and we were planning on moving out here anyway. Now we'll be close by. I can come see you whenever I want. She looked around the room. Didn't you say you had a little dog? Mom finally snapped out of her daze and said softly, Lost. My puppy ran away. Carol sighed. The poor thing. It's so cold out. She must be freezing out there. After they got Mom settled into bed, Carol came into the kitchen to help chop vegetables. She smiled warmly. Sweetie, I'll be taking over my cousin's care in a few days. You've worked so hard lately. I'll pay your wages early, so you can hurry home and celebrate the holidays. I kept my head down, wiping the table, and quietly murmured a response. Assuming I was a professional caregiver, she asked me dozens of questions about Mom's routine and needs. I honestly and thoroughly told her absolutely everything. Carol listened intently, writing it all down in a notebook. I could feel she was different from the others. To make caring for Mom easier, she specifically moved to a place near the yard and arranged for specialist doctors to visit Mom every single week. Right as Carol was getting ready to leave, I grabbed the wallet the Rottweiler had stolen from Mom's son and chased after her. What's this? She took it, confused, but understood the moment she opened it. Is this my cousin's wallet and bank cards? Yes, I whispered. Mom's son had said taking care of Mom would cost a massive amount of money. I was terrified Carol would think Mom was too expensive and wouldn't want to take care of her anymore. Take this back to my cousin. Tell her I have my own money. We don't need to spend hers. She reached out and pulled my coat tighter around me. All right, get back inside now. It's starting to snow. She smiled again. You really take such meticulous care of my cousin. If a stranger walked in, they'd think you were her own daughter. I thought to myself, I am her daughter. I waited until Carol disappeared into the blinding white snow. The bitter wind howled. The snowflakes drifted down endlessly. I knew it was time for me to leave, too. December 1st. Turns out, something out there really does listen to a puppy's prayers. December 5th. Today is another day of pretending to be a caregiver. December 20th. Mom, look. I know how to cook now. January 27th. I can't wait to watch the New Year's fireworks with Mom. I handed the phone packed with videos over to the Doberman. When I died, he would help me deliver it to Mom. Biscuit, if you see my mom. His voice trailed off, growing incredibly soft. Could you help me take care of her? Of course. Us dogs always look out for each other out there. Don't you worry about a thing. One day, the little caregiver who had looked after Margaret for months took the trash out and never returned. People searched the house for any identification she might have left behind, but found absolutely nothing. The young girl hadn't left so much as an ID card. I haven't even paid her yet, Carol said anxiously. The poor girl just up and left without even saying goodbye. The neighbors comforted her, suggesting the girl was probably just in a rush to get home for the holidays. She'd probably be back once the new year was over. That evening, a filthy, mud-caked puppy appeared at the front gate of Margaret's yard. The dog looked profoundly weak, her hind legs giving out with almost every step. Carol froze for a second, then yelled excitedly into the house. Marg, come look quickly. Is this your Biscuit? Accompanied by the hum of an electric wheelchair, a middle-aged woman rushed out of the house. Yes, that's my Biscuit. She scooped the puppy into her arms, her face filled with absolute heartbreak. Why doesn't she have any strength? Is she sick with a cold? The puppy silently burrowed deep into her chest, whimpering softly. Mom held her tighter. It's okay, it's okay. Our Biscuit suffered so much out there. Mom is here. Let Mom hold you. Marg, hurry up and bring her inside. Don't catch a cold out here. The house was blissfully warm from the heating, and the delicious smell of dinner drifted from the kitchen. Lying securely in Mom's arms, I felt in a daze, as if I had returned to the days when I was just a tiny puppy, back when Mom had just brought me home. She used to hold me just like this, rocking me to sleep. Don't worry, Marg. I'll take the dog to the vet first thing in the morning. Today is New Year's Eve, so I think all the clinics around here are closed. No need, no need. I tried to stop them, resting my paw on Mom's arm. But she thought I was shivering from the cold. She gently draped a thick blanket over me. From the television came the sound of the Times Square countdown. The cheers of the massive crowd growing louder as the numbers ticked down. I was so sleepy. In my hazy state, I made my final puppy wish. Mom's son used to hate me. He always wanted to secretly sell me off. Mom would say I was her daughter, too. But her son would just mock her. He would say, "You only have one child, and that's me. How does a dog count as a daughter? Can it talk? Can it take care of you? When you get sick, can it take you to the hospital?" I had been so furious I screamed. "Of course I can. I'll love her a million times more than you do." But I couldn't speak human words. It only came out as a series of loud barks. Her son found me annoying, kicked me out the door, and Mom fought him over it. Mom had held me close, apologizing over and over again. When a tear dropped onto my forehead, I realized Mom was crying. Her husband treated her terribly and had a new wife and a new son somewhere else. Her son thought she was useless because she couldn't even keep his father around, so he never came home. Mom held me and said, "Biscuit, life is so bitter. I envy you so much. I envy that you're a carefree little dog. A little dog just has to eat, sleep, and play with her friends at the park." I had reached my paw up, wanting to wipe away her tears. But my sharp nails almost scratched Mom's eye. A puppy really is so useless. If there is a next life, more than anything, I want to be Mom's daughter. I curled tightly into Mom's chest. My eyelids grew impossibly heavy. The tip of my nose and my forepaws slowly turned freezing cold. As the midnight bell tolled, clusters of brilliant golden flowers bloomed across the pitch-black sky outside the window. "Biscuit." Mom's voice choked with sobs. "Don't fall asleep. Don't sleep. Mom is taking you to see the fireworks." So this is what the other dogs meant by fireworks. When I was a stray, I spent my nights hiding in dumpsters. I had never seen them before. I struggled with all my might to open my eyes. So pretty. I finally got to see the fireworks, too. Safe in Mom's arms, I drifted into a deep sleep. Even as my consciousness faded away, a perfectly happy smile lingered on the corners of my mouth. When you look at a firework straight on, it's perfectly round. But looking at it from the side, it turned out to be Mom's face.